For neighbours, what does it mean? One way to look at it is what does it mean for Argosy, but more importantly, what does it mean for our clients being our tenants? It's actually more important for the tenant to know about neighbours than us. The tenants are the end user, they're the occupier, they control the space, so they actually dictate for the building on how much energy you're going to use to an extent. The base build is something that we control, but it's based around the parameters that they set. So working in collaboration with your tenants is the most important thing for neighbours and for energy efficiency. It's what helps make it work, it helps us run the strategy for the building. One thing at Argosy we do is collaboration's a big thing, but we also set the strategy from the top down. So we set it as the asset team, and then the facilities managers, the contractors follow it. And when you've got that lead from the top, there's more buy-in and they understand it a bit better. NABERS allows us to standardise energy usage. We used to have energy audits that ECA used to fund, and you get spits out a number and you go, great, got this kilowatt rating per annum, but what does it mean? Now with NABERS, we can actually compare to existing buildings, and we've got something in common, and we can rate against each other. The other thing is NABERS allows us now to use a standardised tool, which is great because tenants can now relate to it, and we can say, hey, look, we're going to do an energy efficient design, and they can say, right, we want a 5-star, we want a 4-star, and at least it gives the whole purpose something and something to focus on. The other thing is we use it as a bit of a monitoring tool now, and we do self-assessments, and so we can track it in between ratings. So the idea is your rating lasts for a few years, you can do your self-assessment in between, and that also allows us to do the quarterly monitoring and benchmark against something the whole way through. The building that we started with was originally a 1930s heritage, 6,500 square metre average building in Wellington that has a nice southerly exposure, nice metal windows, had T8 light fitting, your normal fan coils, your gas boilers, nice and efficient, heated half of Wellington before itself. Went to go see the tenant, we said to them, how do you find the building? And he goes, well, how long have you got to talk about it? And that really started the momentum of what we wanted to do for that building. So it wasn't a case of just fixing a set point or fixing one air conditioning unit. We realised we had a problem. So what we did is we sat down and we took a year to work out what we were going to deliver. And as part of that delivery strategy with the tenant, we agreed that they said, look, we want a new building, but we don't want to move if we don't have to, and we want something energy efficient. And that was something we were encouraging the whole way through. So then what we did was we embarked on a Green Star rating because we felt that was sustainable, that would have some energy efficiency benefits as well. And we targeted a 4-star rating, and we retained the glazing being heritage and most of the features, but we did turn it into a 5-star built rated product. Then from that, it was in the market, you heard about other 5-star projects and heard that their OPEX were really high to run them, and then we said, oh, well, okay. NABERS then came out of the woodwork and we said, right, let's do a NABERS rating. So our first NABERS rating came out at 4 stars. So we were pretty happy with that. But then we looked at what we did going through the process of doing a NABERS assessment. You get to look at occupancy hours, after hours usage, individual floors, main plant, because we did a lot of metering as part of our Green Star. It fell in sync with NABERS. So we could identify where we were losing energy for the client. And that was really important because even they didn't know where they were losing it. And what we realised was we had most of the building automated, and then we had little pockets that didn't have automation, like a couple of storage rooms here and there. So then we automated the rest, and what we found was the energy dropped because people weren't used to turning light switches off. And it was changing human behaviour as well. So what we did also is we did tenant user guides, so the tenants knew and the occupiers knew how the building was going to work. Basically from that, we then went around recommissioning every quarter, and we actually kept that quarterly commissioning going even though we didn't have to after Green Star because it formed part of our energy management strategy with the client. So our property managers were sitting down with them every quarter, and you say, well, what does that give the tenant? Well, the tenant now saves $80,000 per annum compared to pre-project. So for them, they can actually go out and say, right, we've made an 80k savings. We're achieving around 3% per annum, and after 4 years, we're pretty much, that's as far as we can go, unless we do another capital upgrade and chill into the building, because we can change the lighting, And there's a couple of other tweaks we can do with the technology we got, which could push it up to 5. But it's a case of, do we need to? What is the financial cost? But NABERS allowed us to identify the low-hanging fruit, which a majority of buildings can achieve very easily. So it is there, it is easy to use. The NABERS does allow you to focus on it, but it allows the property managers and the facilities managers to focus on set areas to achieve those savings. But for the tenant, it gives them a credible, independent measure, which is really important. It's not a case of us just saying, oh, we'll do this, do this. They can now say, oh, we've got a certificate, we know what we got. So they find it crucial from their point to give us a benchmark to achieve. So that's really our experience with NABERS at this stage, and the idea is we'll move on to other commercial office buildings now in our portfolio, and the idea is the biggest thing to change now is metering to allow for NABERS. So we'll do a few whole building ratings and then proceed down to going into individual ratings as well. But that's sort of our experience.